Tonight on CTV News, shocking discovery.
As they investigated that residence, they found human remains and at that point decided to call IHIT.
What happened to Jessica Cunningham, missing since June? Her partner now charged with indignity to human remains.
It will protect lives. And we don't want to see anybody else go through what our family is going through.
Demanding better protection for victims of domestic violence after the murder of Bailey McCourt in Kelowna.
Every day, look for something. And what are we looking for? I don't know, but we'll know when we see it.
And Mike McCardle couldn't stay away from the PNE. One of his favorite places brings him temporarily out of retirement.
This is CTV News with Me Jung Lee.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. We begin with a troubling development in the case of a missing Maple Ridge woman. Police have been scouring her home for days, and today they revealed human remains have been found. CTV's Martin McMahon is live at RCMP headquarters in Surrey, where investigators held a news conference this afternoon. And Martin, the woman's partner has now been charged.
That's right, Mi Jung. Jessica Cunningham was last seen in June, and now this disturbing development with homicide investigators taking over the case. Miley Barron has been charged with indignity to human remains after those remains were discovered at this home in a cul-de-sac on Gillis Place in Maple Ridge on Tuesday. Police say Barron lived here with Jessica Cunningham, and the two were in a relationship.
It's too early for us to determine if it's related, or if it is intimate partner violence. We're still following the evidence so far, and we're actively working to see how the circumstances laid out. We can't say that right now. At this point, I can only say that they were in an intimate relationship.
Cunningham was last seen in June and reported missing in July. Investigators swarmed the quiet neighborhood this week. We spoke to a neighbor who says the area is very friendly and well acquainted, with the exception of this home.
The neighborhood is very, very friendly. This thing we've had, we always look out for one another, and we generally know what's going on in and around the area. And with this situation, nobody knew too much because of the fact that the resident living over there decided to perhaps bar himself or whatever it is. It's, the windows were always closed. We never saw anybody in it.
The neighbor says he has seen police at the property before, but never like this. A white forensics tent has been set up on the lawn, while tarps have been blocking the view of the home's front porch. A tow truck also arrived Thursday to remove the SUV in the driveway. The Integrated Homicide Investigation Team has taken charge of the case, although many questions remain.
IHIT is working diligently to understand the circumstances surrounding Jessica's disappearance. We're releasing her name and photo to advance the investigation and seeking assistance to build a timeline of her activity leading to the missing persons report.
Investigators are still trying to piece all of this together, and in fact, they're still working to identify the remains that they found earlier this week. And of course, police asking for anyone with information to come forward if they can help with this case. Mi Jung?
Martin McMahon reporting live tonight from RCMP headquarters in Surrey. Now to the push for change to protect victims of domestic violence. The family of Bailey McCourt, who was murdered last month in Kelowna, is calling for changes to legislation, changes like a registry for offenders and GPS tracking. CTV's Rob Buffum reports on how lawmakers are responding.
We're not going to stop fighting until we see these changes implemented.
A grieving family is demanding changes to the justice system.
It will protect lives. And we don't want to see anybody else go through what our family is going through.
32-year-old Bailey McCourt was killed on July 4th in broad daylight in a Kelowna parking lot. The mother of two was beaten to death by a hammer. Her friend was also attacked and left with injuries. McCourt's estranged husband, James Plover, is charged with second-degree murder. Earlier that day, he'd been convicted of uttering threats and assault by choking in a domestic violence case, but wasn't held in custody pending his sentencing. McCourt's aunt says her death was preventable.
This is what Bailey would want, and we need to keep people like her sisters and daughters safe in the future.
They want to see legislative reform called Bailey's Law that includes GPS monitoring and a registry of convicted domestic offenders, first-degree murder charges for domestic homicide, and risk assessment tools for those likely to reoffend. They also want to see stricter domestic violence bail laws.
A no-contact order, a piece of paper, isn't enough to keep people safe.
The family has sent their plea to the Prime Minister. BC's Attorney General says she's reviewing them and already pushed Ottawa for bail reform that addresses certain crimes that often escalate.
I've asked for specific changes to the criminal code related to the choking and suffocation and those types of inter-partner violence that the evidence shows can lead to serious harm and death.
McCourt's family says the changes are critical to fix a broken system that's left 2 little girls without a mother and a community desperate to find meaning in her senseless death.
Bailey was very kind, very compassionate, a loving person, and she would want to see something positive come out of this horrific situation.
Rob Buffum joins us live from Victoria. And Rob, what other reforms are Bailey McCourt's family calling for?
Well, Mijung, they're calling also for judicial education about the factors that are likely to lead to reoffending. The province, independent of this, on Monday issued an announcement that they plan to amend the Family Law Act in various ways, including expanding the definition of domestic violence to include things like coercion and controlling behavior, as it takes steps to try to address what it defined in January as an epidemic of gender-based violence. Mijung.
Thank you, Rob. A boat crash in Kelowna sent 12 people to hospital last night with non-life-threatening injuries. A photo from the scene shows one boat lodged on top of another. Mounties say the crash happened on Okanagan Lake just south of William R. Bennett Bridge around 8:40 last night. The cause is under investigation, but at this point, weather and impairment have been ruled out. Infectious disease experts on this side of the border are slamming the state of public health in the U.S. tonight. It comes after the Trump administration fired the head of the Centers for Disease Control. And as CTV's Isabella Zaffarisi reports, the experts fear what's happening down south will have ripple effects on our healthcare system.
U.S. President Donald Trump has been in power since January. In his second term, he started the process of withdrawing from the World Health Organization.
Ooh, that's a big one.
Changed COVID vaccine guidelines, and now, after only 1 month in the position, the head of the Centers of Disease Control has been fired.
I don't really know any other way to say this, but it's catastrophic what's happening in the United States right now in terms of public health.
Experts are sounding the alarm, worried our health is in jeopardy.
Well, I think we're just entering very scary times. I mean, we could look back at this as a really pivotal time in our health in North America.
They say we're already seeing the consequences as political rhetoric in the U.S. makes its way here.
For this past year in Canada, we've had 2 historic measles outbreaks in Ontario and in Alberta. And if vaccine hesitancy and vaccine refusal continues to rise, measles is an extremely contagious virus, and we will potentially see even larger measles outbreaks going forward.
The former director of the BC Centre for Disease Control says he would often look to the CDC for policy guidance.
That won't be available or won't be reliable anymore, and so that means that we have to make more of our own decisions.
The doctors say it's an opportunity for Canada to step up.
We need to invest heavily, and we need to start thinking about doing more things both on the ground in Canada and also internationally. And
that's scary because many countries, not just Canada, have relied on those key partnerships with the U.S. And it's very frightening to be unmoored from that.
The outcome of not doing anything, they say, could put Canadians' health at risk. Isabella Zaffarisi, CTV News, Vancouver.
Crab fishermen in BC are watching their profits shrink as Chinese tariffs rip through the industry. Now, as they work to fill the gap, they're calling on Ottawa to step in and keep them afloat. CTV's Craig Krause has more.
It's been months since BC fishermen received crushing news.
China is also set to hit Canada with hefty levies next week, crushing fishermen and farmers across BC.
Crab fishermen specifically, relying on the Chinese market for 90% of their exports, now watching as their industry sinks.
Nobody wants to go to work and lose money, right?
Second-generation fisherman Jason Vong says he was fetching around $11.50 per pound of crab last summer. That number now just $7.
All our profits have been taken away.
And according to the BC Crab Fishermen's Association, national export data shows in June that Dungeness crab exports to China were down nearly 60%. Revenue that month compared to last year, that was slashed to under $5 million, placing financial stress on harvesters, families, and communities along BC's coastline.
We'd like to see the tariffs removed and resume back to normal business.
The association issuing a letter to the fisheries minister for support after repeated calls. In a statement to CTV News, the federal government wrote it understands the challenges and is working to reduce the impacts, adding, quote, Canada remains open to continuing pragmatic constructive dialogue with China to address Canada's interest in fully restoring market access. A geopolitical battle that one expert says is a result of Canadian tariffs on Chinese electric vehicles last year.
Do you see a resolution on the horizon?
Well, we have seen calls for Canada to step back from those tariffs on Chinese EVs. Scott Moe, Premier of Saskatchewan, for instance. I think we are going to have to look for ways to build out trading relationships wherever we can.
In the meantime, fishermen are hoping policy changes will be made soon. If not, the appetite will need to grow elsewhere for crab. Craig Krause, CTV News, Vancouver.
A fire engulfed a home in New Westminster this morning. Large flames could be seen shooting from the home on Queens Avenue near 10th Street around 5:15 a.m. Fire crews worked quickly to put out the flames and stop them from spreading to an apartment building next door. No one was hurt, and the cause of the fire is under investigation. As British Columbians prepare to hit the road for the last long weekend of summer, the province is urging travelers to be fire conscious as tinder-dry conditions persist in many places. As CTV's Ben Milger reports, the warning comes as Penticton RCMP announced an arrest related to a suspicious wildfire in that community.
As helicopters drop water on this wildfire in Penticton, you can see just how close it got to homes. The fire sparked Monday and is believed to be human-caused. RCMP call it suspicious and say officers arrested one man in the area, but no charges have been announced.
I really want to emphasize how important it is to be personally responsible right now, because a wildfire could destroy people's homes, it can destroy their livelihoods, really throw communities into chaos, and we never want to be in that position.
More than 80 wildfires are burning across the province, with 19 out of control. Dozens ignited in the last couple of days, with the BC Wildfire Service saying most of those are believed to be lightning-caused.
Includes new starts as well as holdover lightning-caused fires, so lightning strikes that happened days or even weeks ago and have popped up with the hot and dry weather.
Those hot and dry conditions expected to continue in many places over the next several days, keeping the fire danger rating elevated.
Oh, man.
Evacuation alerts in Peachland have been lifted as crews have now contained a fire there. It was sparked when a motorhome crashed on the side of Highway 97. The province's emergency preparedness minister says even though it is late in the season, people living in fire-prone areas should have plans in place because in these conditions, a new start can spread rapidly.
Folks can be prepared by getting your grab-and-go bag ready. We do have information on how to set one up for your household, for yourself, on Prepared BC. It's got lots of really good information about how to be prepared for different hazards.
So far this year, more than 980 fires have scorched over 730,000 hectares across the province. Ben Milger, CTV News, Vancouver.
The province has issued a consent order for an expansion at Mount Polley mine northeast of Williams Lake. The expansion would deepen the Springer pit and continue the discharge of treated water into Quesnel Lake, potentially extending the mine's operations to 2033. Mount Polley is known as the site of Canada's worst mine waste disaster. In 2014, a tailings dam collapsed, sending more than 20 million cubic meters of wastewater into nearby lakes. The order issued today will allow parts of the project to move forward, but full approval still depends on permits under the Mines and Environmental Management Acts. A new report shows drivers in BC are paying the highest gas taxes in the country, in part due to a hidden carbon tax.
Premier David Eby made the right decision by cancelling the consumer portion of the carbon tax back in April, but British Columbian drivers are still being slapped with a back-end carbon tax buried in clean fuel regulations.
The findings show drivers in the Lower Mainland and Victoria pay the most because of regional transit taxes. The group is calling for the Prime Minister and BC's Premier to immediately reduce the gas tax burden on drivers in this province. Families across BC will soon have more access to childcare, thanks to hundreds of new spaces opening on school grounds, making it easier for parents to find care close to home.
We want to continue to create spaces for these beautiful, wonderful children here and make sure that families have a safe space. And here in schools like this, they can do the one-stop drop-off, pick-up, and know their kids are in a safe space all day.
The province says 640 new licensed childcare spaces are being added at schools in 12 communities throughout BC. It's part of a $23.5 million investment through a joint federal and provincial fund that helped create more than 41,000 new spaces since 2018. He was once BC's most wanted fugitive. Now Brandon Teixeira has been convicted of first-degree murder in a deadly Surrey shooting. Also ahead.
I'm Demetra Maragos in East Vancouver. A community calling for the city to do more after they say one home has become an issue for the entire neighborhood.
Why residents say the abandoned home is a hazard and what the city is doing about it. When CTV News continues, stay with us. An abandoned property is becoming more than just an eyesore in one East Vancouver neighborhood. People living in the area say it's now a dangerous nuisance and the city needs to take action. CTV's Demetra Maragos has the story.
Jay Rosine has lived in this Hastings Sunrise neighborhood for nearly 2 decades.
I love this neighborhood.
He says one of the homes here started to pile up with stuff, lots of stuff.
E-bikes, e-scooters, tools just started piling up all over the backyard and in the garage.
But on July 19th,
the house from the back was just like huge flames. The neighbor to the east, all the vinyl siding burned and crazy rancid smell of burning plastic.
Rosine says the fire unlocked a whole new set of issues.
Even though the fence was up, they got it open.
People started breaking into the property, salvaging what they believe to be valuable.
For a couple weeks there was just bits of bikes and scooters and tools all over the place.
And he says it looked like a growing number of people who didn't live in his neighborhood.
I had a guy passed out here on the sidewalk.
The neighborhood took action.
That's when we all started calling the city, calling the police, calling the fire department.
We reached out to the city. It says an inspector assessed the property on Monday. On Tuesday, the city's chief building official issued an untidy premises order requiring the property owner to clean the site within 10 days. The safety and security of vacated buildings is the legal responsibility of the property owner. CTV News tried to speak to the owner who lives nearby, but they weren't available.
Well, it's obviously frustrating.
For Rosine, he says he's concerned about the heart of the neighborhood he loves.
I love my neighbors, and I just want to see, a thriving, happy community where people communicate.
The city of Vancouver added that earlier this year, they did create a task force to tackle the number of underused and vacated homes in the city. They said they'll catalog those homes and later this year come up with recommendations. Demetra Maragos, CTV News, Vancouver.
BC Ferries has issued a cease and desist order to a band that's been poking fun at the wait times many experience.
Cease and desist, cease and desist. Come on to get you, you're on my list. Cease and desist.
The musicians behind Three Sailing Wait are making waves because the band's imagery and font in its logo looks a little too close to that of the transportation giant. BC Ferries says trademark law requires them to act when something could cause confusion, but add they respect local artists and their creativity. The band quickly complied and is now soaking up all the media attention that has started to get them noticed.
Cease and desist, cease and desist.
That's pretty funny. Let's check in with Anne now, who's at the PNE. And you look like you've got some interesting dancers there behind you, young and older.
Yes, that is right. The heart of the PNE are the roaming performers, and right behind me, dancing with the kids because they are a favorite, are the puppets on parade. Look at them. If you're looking for whimsy, if you're looking for color, if you're looking for dancing and fun, check out the puppets on parade. You'll see them along Main Street and pretty much all around the fair, and these kids definitely have them checked out. So great day for them to dance because it is a touch cooler, it is a touch cloudier than what we saw yesterday. So this is what we can expect as we head into the overnight. Things will clear up. So if you like today, tomorrow's going to be a little hotter. We'll see temperatures between 26 and 29 degrees heading into tomorrow afternoon. So yeah, make sure you have that water ready and the umbrella because it is going to be another warm one tomorrow. So make sure, especially if you're coming to the PNE, that you are hydrated and cool.
CTV Weather brought to you by Expedia Cruises, customizing dream vacations with unbelievable value. Call or learn more at expediacruises.ca.
And another way to stay cool, Mi-Jung, is of course some whipped cream and some ice cream. This is a cinnamon bun funnel cake. So a better way to enjoy the PNE with some dancing with some puppets and some, of course, delicious, yummy food.
Oh, a cinnamon bun funnel cake. That sounds very good. I'll have to just live vicariously through you, Anne. Thank you.
Definitely.
Well, one of BC's most wanted fugitives was on the run for years before being caught in California. Why he can't flee anymore. Also ahead.
All I had to do was show up and say I need help.
How a young woman overcame alcohol addiction thanks to a successful program at St. Paul's Hospital. Penny Daflos continues her special series on addiction. That's ahead. The last weekend of August is also the Labor Day long weekend and the finale of the PNE Fair. Whether you're a local staying in Metro Vancouver or a visitor spending the weekend here, there are plenty of events scheduled. We've got a full list on our website, ctvnewsvancouver.ca. A man has been convicted of first-degree murder nearly 8 years after a deadly shooting in Surrey. 35-year-old Brandon Teixeira was found guilty of murder, attempted murder, and discharging a firearm with intent on Monday, following a jury trial. The victim, 28-year-old Nicholas Cabra, was gunned down in October 2017 in what police determined was a targeted shooting. Another woman was hurt, but has not been publicly identified. Through a joint investigation, police learned multiple suspects were involved.
After the sentencing of Brandon Teixeira, we'll be able to share more details in regard to who other suspects were and which other homicides were involved in this project.
Teixeira was once BC's most wanted fugitive with a $5,000 reward for information leading to his arrest. The manhunt ended in Northern California, and Teixeira was extradited to Canada in 2020. He's been in custody ever since. The family of a man killed in a hit-and-run near Merritt last year is pleading for anyone with information to come forward.
It would bring some closure to our family to have some answers and know what actually happened or when it happened. All these unknowns is what makes it really hard to move forward.
The family says 24-year-old Buddy Rhodes was funny and kind and lit up every room he walked into. His body was found on August 30th of last year on the side of the Coquihalla near exit 286 in Merritt. Police believe he was likely hit by a southbound vehicle as early as 6 days before he was discovered. Anyone with dashcam video or any other information is asked to contact the BC Highway Patrol. Treatment for drug and alcohol addiction is a challenging process, with detox alone proving too difficult for some. The province has made significant progress reducing wait times for those ready to get help, but it's not yet available to all. Our Penny Daflos now with tonight's installment in her series examining addiction and the toxic drug crisis.
With a death toll in the thousands and climbing every day, critics blame the government for not doing more.
We need these individuals to getting help next week.
For illicit drug users wanting to end their addiction during a toxic drug crisis.
We need to get to a place in British Columbia where we've got a heavy focus on recovery.
It is incredibly frustrating, and it's actually harmful. It's harmful to patients when they hear bits of information that is inaccurate or false and deters them from accessing services that may otherwise meet their needs.
Millions of tax dollars are poured into recovery each year, and Dr. Shauna Nolan co-founded a program simplifying the process.
The previous addiction treatment system was fairly fragmented, and it was really difficult for patients and their families to navigate. Through the creation of a single front door, it streamlines people to one single telephone number to call to access substance use services.
When I was in the ambulance on my way to the RAC clinic, they just were like, they're really good at what they do.
Jamie Ramsey went to the Road to Recovery program after severe alcohol withdrawal saw her in and out of the ER.
Definitely felt like super overwhelmed, super embarrassed that I was there for something like that.
And found the team of doctors, nurses, and support workers who arranged for detox and more.
All I had to do was show up and say I need help. And everything else that I needed to be done was guided for me.
The detox rooms at St. Paul's prioritize patients with high-risk withdrawal symptoms, including hallucinations that might have landed them in the ICU.
One thing that people don't understand about addiction treatment is how incomplete our knowledge is of how to cure people. Even our best, most evidence-based treatment for addiction doesn't work for half of people.
There are more than 3,000 government-funded recovery beds. In the private sector, there are dozens of operators who charge big bucks and offer an array of methods with little oversight.
It's like the Wild West, and we really need to have it regulated.
Since Road to Recovery started, detox waits have shrunk to a day or two in Vancouver Coastal Health. They're now applying the same prioritization and efficiency strategy to recovery beds, aiming to slash those wait times so people get the support they need when and where they need it before they can change their minds. Penny Daflos, CTV News, Vancouver.
How a car crash left the driver heading down the road with a staircase intact. Also
so we're trying to attract or lure pythons to come from out from their hiding places and come to us.
Robot rabbits are the bait. How this trap works to get rid of an invasive snake wreaking havoc in a famous park in Florida. And not your typical truck crash. A Frito-Lay's delivery driver walks away after plunging into a river canyon. Stay with us.
There was tons and tons and tons of water. So we're absolutely terrified and horrified to see this in our house again, water back in our house again.
A water main broke in Toronto's East End overnight, leading to a massive sinkhole and flooding in nearby basements. An unusual sight near Toronto where one driver also appeared to take the stairs.
How can you drive like this? How? This is not safe.
This car was spotted driving around with a staircase on top of it. Police say the vehicle reversed into a building, striking the stairs, which then stayed attached. A 22-year-old woman has been charged with careless driving. A Frito-Lay truck somehow managed to land upright after plunging 45 meters down a river canyon in Northern California. Miraculously, the driver walked away with only minor injuries. The crash unfolded along a perilous stretch of highway near Crescent City. Drugs and alcohol have been ruled out as factors. A small plane crashed into the Atlantic off the coast of North Carolina. What followed was a daring rescue in open waters, and it was all caught on camera. This single-engine plane went down on August 2nd. New video shows the moment firefighters pulled the pilot out of the plane's windshield. First responders say the pilot was trapped but still breathing thanks to a pocket of air. The incident happened after the plane experienced trouble and the pilot decided to splash down in the water because a nearby beach was too crowded. Wildlife officials in Florida are getting creative in the fight against the invasive Burmese python population by sending in some very unusual helpers.
We've just deployed these robotic rabbits out in the field. So we're trying to attract or lure pythons to come from out from their hiding places and come to us.
These robotic decoys look, move, and even smell like real rabbits. They're also fitted with heat sensors and cameras to send out a signal when a python slithers nearby. Burmese pythons are not native to Florida and have decimated up to 95% of small mammals in Everglades National Park. How much Vancouver hotel prices are set to rise next year, one of the biggest jumps in North America, and
every day look for something. And what are we looking for? I don't know, but we'll know when we see it.
Mike McCardle says storytelling is his therapy. So the broadcast legend is back at the PNE telling stories. St. John Alexander caught up with them. That's ahead. Taking a look at today's markets, the Canadian dollar traded for 72 cents to the American dollar. Oil was up 45 cents, closing the day at $64.60 U.S. a barrel. Gold gained nearly $26 on the day. The TSX and the Dow Jones both finished higher, up 1 point and 71 points respectively. A new report projects Vancouver hotels are set for some of the sharpest price hikes in North America. The findings by Amex shows Vancouver's rates could climb by nearly 6.2% next year. That is slightly steeper than Toronto's projected hike of 5.8%. In contrast, rates in New York and London are only expected to rise by about 4%. With more Canadians boycotting travel in the U.S., the pressure on the hotel market is only expected to grow. And let's go back down to the PNE and those cotton candy makers, they always make it look so easy. And we're going to test your coordination skills, right?
Yeah, they're putting me to work, and I have to say, it's coming out a lot faster than expected. So I'm doing the best I can. As you can see, my cotton candy, not as beautiful as their cotton candy here at the PNE. So let's distract. Let's take a look at our forecast right now. We are looking at some warnings for the inland sections of the North Coast at 29 degrees into tomorrow, as well as for the Fraser Canyon and for North Thompson. You'll see temperatures between 34 and 38 degrees, all because of this ridge of high pressure, as you can see, towards the north of the province, and that will continue and strengthen as we head into the next few days into the long weekend. So, for the North Coast, Port Hardy, you're going to start off with some showers. It does clear up quite nicely. You're looking at a chance of afternoon thunder showers for Campbell River and Comox. For the South Island, sunny breaks for Tofino, as well as for Nanaimo, a chance of afternoon thunder showers for Port Alberni, and looks nice for the Southern Gulf Islands and Victoria under a mix of sun and cloud. That's what you can expect for the Sunshine Coast. Active weather expected up the Sea to Sky Highway, temperatures between 28 and 29. And for us across the lower mainland, we're looking at mix of sun and cloud as well, with temperatures between 25 and 28 degrees. And then into the long weekend, a mix of sun and cloud right through until Monday. Seasonal temperatures, and then things heat up as we head into next week. Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, inland temperatures in the low 30s. Near the water, we're looking at temperatures between 24 and 27 degrees. CTV weather brought to you by Expedia Cruises for air, land, and sea vacations. So as you can see me, Jung, most of it is on my arms and my hands. I don't know why. It's not actually spinning onto what I'm supposed to be doing. So needless to say, I think it's safe for me to say they're not going to hire me. And I'm going to have to just eat the rest of this cotton candy by myself.
I think that was your whole MO the whole time, but yeah, I don't think you can sell that one. That's a little messy. I think you need to go back to cotton candy school, Anne.
I think so too, but delicious.
All right, enjoy. I'm sure it still tastes good. Thanks a lot, Anne. For a limited time only, Mike McArdle is back. And once again, he's telling stories like no other. This time, a special engagement at the PNE. Our St. John Alexander caught up with the broadcast legend.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know. Welcome back.
Tough to do a job.
Kathy. Hello, Kathy. Hi.
When you're this charming and keep being spotted.
I thought you retired, sir. I did.
Mike McArdle is back on the beat, proving after decades as a reporter, he's still got it. Now at the PNE.
With Colin. Who's doing all the work.
And that legendary story-finding technique has not changed.
Every day, look for something. And what are we looking for? I don't know. But we'll know when we see it.
As he scopes the fairground looking for the next tale.
You look this way.
Okay.
And I'll look this way.
All right. He wants everyone to know retirement is treating him well. He's written another book. And his neck, yeah, it's sore, but is recovering after a nasty fall. Near the entrance to the farm, Mike thinks he's found a good spot.
Except for the music.
Who's Billy Idol? You don't like Billy Idol?
I have no idea who Billy Idol is.
He sees potential, chats people up, makes them laugh. Mike is trying to find his story. This is how he does it.
Yeah, oh, okay, that's great. Oh, good. Well, I'm sure he'll find one.
Always does.
Yes, he does.
And he did, in this big yellow chair, getting the crowd involved.
Hello.
How many people can it hold?
All exchange names.
I'm Alex.
Now you're all friends.
As he says hello to more people.
It's been a long time.
In the back of his mind, he's putting the big story on the big chair together. It will be posted on the PNE's Facebook page. Now, we haven't seen the finished product, but we know it will be in McArdle's legendary style. St. John Alexander, CTV News, Vancouver.
Oh, great to see Mike out on the beat again. Well, a teen's croc to the rescue after Clara Hughes loses a shoe on the grueling West Coast Trail. That story is still ahead tonight. And Adorable Overload will introduce you to a couple of red panda cubs that make huff-quacking noises. You'll see what I mean. Plus, cross-Canada canoe. Adam finds out the story behind a 63-year-old's attempt to paddle solo from coast to coast. Next on the Sawatsky Signoff. Right now, here's a preview of CTV Morning Live.
Would your child know how to help someone who's overdosing? And would you want them to? Friday on CTV Morning Live, as BC students get ready to return to school, why some are calling for naloxone training. Also, taking a bite out of hunger, how the National Food Program is working so far in schools. We'll see you in the morning.
News, weather, and traffic. It's everything you need. CTV Morning Live, weekdays 6 to 9.
The Seattle Seahawks are gearing up for a brand new initiative known as the Rivalries Program. The team unveiled their exclusive Rivalries uniform today. It will only be worn once when the Seahawks host the LA Rams on December 18th. The uniforms feature wolf gray jerseys and pants with reflective green numbers and sound waves. The team is one of just 8 taking part in the new Rivalries Program. Canadian Olympian Clara Hughes is back in the headlines after losing one shoe on the West Coast Trail and completing the hike in a ripped-up Croc. In a post on social media, Hughes explains she was holding her trail runners while walking barefoot on a section of beach when she slipped and lost one shoe to the ocean. Luckily, someone had witnessed the whole thing and knew just how to help.
There was a fellow that was watching kind of the latter part of our little misadventure, and he asked me what happened, and I told him I lost my shoe. And this guy's name was Steve, and Steve became my hero of the trail, along with his 15-year-old son, Marley. Steve basically went into action and found shoes for me, and they happened to be from his son, from this 15-year-old boy who had an old beat-up pair of Crocs.
Thanks to that family, Hughes was able to hike the remaining 53 kilometers of the trail wearing one trail runner and one Croc. Well, 2 newborn red panda cubs are turning heads at a Tennessee zoo, and it's not just for their adorable fuzzy faces, but also the unique sounds they make. Zoo Knoxville says the male cubs were born June 3rd to first-time mom Sisu and dad Dufa. Red pandas are considered endangered, with fewer than 10,000 of them left in the wild, so breeding programs are critical to their survival. Staff say the brothers are healthy and incredibly curious. They'll be making their public debut very soon.
So cute.
They don't look anything like the other pandas.
No.
They look very different. I'm still impressed that Clara Hughes actually did the West Coast Trail with a Croc.
Yeah, how do you do that?
I guess she's Clara Hughes.
Yeah.
She's an Olympian, right? Okay, well, Vancouver is known as one of the most dog-friendly cities in the country, but we're hoping it could one day adopt a Toronto tradition where at season's end, the pools quite literally go to the dogs. Before shutting down for the fall and winter months, select outdoor pools in the city are hosting dog-only swims this weekend. For one day only, 4-legged friends get to doggy paddle their way around the pools before they're drained. The swims are free and have become a popular way to end the season.
I know some dog owners who would like that.
Yeah, I think it would be popular here. Okay, Mary, what's coming up tonight?
Mijung, a BC-based conservation group, is calling on members of the public after noticing some concerning behavior regarding people's proximity to wild seals and their pups. The Wild Wise Society says approaching, touching, or disturbing harbor seal pups can expose you to potential diseases and may also prevent the seal's mother from returning. People are being asked to keep their distance. We'll have that story and, of course, any breaking news at 11:30.
All right, thanks a lot, Mary. Well, a BC man set out to cross Canada solo by canoe, following the same route First Nations peoples once did. The 8,000-kilometer journey exhausted him mentally and physically, but the reward was well worth it. Adam looks back at the epic journey on this encore Sawatsky sign-off.
When Bert Terhart began preparing to paddle across the country, he hadn't actually been in a canoe in more than 40 years.
I was not at all in any way, shape, or form prepared for the amount of work that it actually required.
Unlike when Bert was a kid, when it was all so effortless.
Sense of adventure that you have every time you step out your front door.
That stopped as he grew up and focused on his career, until Bert started questioning where his life was going.
You know, perhaps there's some way that I can make more of a contribution.
The 63-year-old began his solo canoe trip on BC's west coast. With no electronic navigation, he's paddled and portaged over the Rockies, across the prairies, now through Ontario, covering more than 40 kilometers a day.
The hardest part is not the physicality of it all. The hardest part is the mental discipline you need to get up and paddle every single day.
After sleeping about 4 hours a night, Bert spends up to 12 hours a day in his canoe, following the same river and lake system that Indigenous people have been traveling for millennia.
You know, if you want to know something about a person, you should walk a mile in their shoes. So I've just chosen to walk 4,000 miles.
Ben's planning to make it to the Atlantic by mid-November. But more than halfway through his 7-month journey, he's already finding a deeper connection to this place and its people.
It's an incredibly beautiful country. It's unbelievably diverse. The people are amazing.
While the strangers he's met along the way have left encouragement through signatures on his canoe, Bert hopes he's been able to reciprocate by offering inspiration to start realizing their own dreams.
You're never too young or too old to step outside the front door with an open heart and open mind.
To reconnect to the world with the wide-eyed wonder of youth. And like this picture of Bert portaging over the highest peak in his journey, know that no matter how small you feel in the face of huge adversity, your determination will always be bigger.
You just have to persist. If you choose to persist at anything, then you will succeed.
Adam Sawatsky, CTV News.
Wow, the physical and mental discipline to do that. I could not achieve that.
And portaging like miles and miles. Incredible. What a feat. Okay, let's go back out to Anne at the PNE with her favorite activity, enjoying the food there.
Yes, that is right. This cinnamon bun funnel cake is so big, I showed you earlier, and I'm still picking away at it. I guess it's going to be my dinner tonight, guys. I wish I could share with you, but you're so far away, so I'll eat it for all of us.
Yeah, you got to eat it on your own. I love it. It looks amazing, and I'm hungry, too.
She's eating well there.
All right, thanks for joining us. Mary's back tonight at 11:30. Have a great evening.